Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Odds On Favorites. I'm the host, Cody Miller. Of course, I'm here with my co-hosts, Rick Rockwell and Taylor Smith. We're going to do our usual segments here. We're going to rant and rave about some stuff, talk to you guys about what's happening in the world of sports and sports betting. As always, we're going to dive right in with our What's Happening segment. So first thing I want to talk about is, Taylor, you did a news post on the heavily favored Warriors not attracting betting action. Are the Warriors scaring off bettors? Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, so last year the Warriors were around like minus 240 before the season to win the title. This year you can get them as low as like minus 160 at places. Obviously that's still a big number. You're not going to make much money betting on Golden State to win it all. And the NBA just has no parity, and it hasn't had parity in a long time. It's one of the people, it was an ESPN article that broke the news basically that no one's betting on the NBA. They said that their handle for the NHL is actually higher now at the Westgate than it was last year, or than NBA is this year. Some of that has to do with Vegas having a hockey team now. And a lot of it has to do with the NBA just having one team, 1, 2, 3 teams that can win the title. So, you know, betting on the Sixers at plus 1,400 or the Lakers at plus 1,200, there's a lot of profit there if that actually happens. But, you know, unless Kevin Durant or Steph Curry gets hurt, then Golden State's probably winning again. So why even risk it? Mm-hmm. Someone did place a bet, a $67,000 bet on the Warriors to make the playoffs at minus 10,000. And if that wins, he only nets $677.35. So I don't know why you would ever do that, but I guess some people are feeling bold enough to try that. But oof. I don't know.
Not me.
Sounds like somebody's bored with life.
Yeah, someone's got money to burn. They were saying that there are not 8 teams that can win the NBA title, but in hockey there are, 20 plus teams that could feasibly win the Stanley Cup at this point. So that's why people are betting more on hockey than the NBA.
And Boogie Cousins joining the Warriors does not help with this parity in the NBA. In fact, it just makes it worse. Honestly, I only see 2 teams having a realistic shot, and that's the Celtics and the Warriors, and they'll probably end up playing against each other in the finals with the Warriors winning. The only chance we have for parity is if they somehow got these super teams, or at least limit how many super teams they can have in the league, or how many players can make up a super team or something like that in terms of like max contracts and that stuff. Otherwise, we're going to have this issue continuing. And I know the NBA has a long history of, super teams or franchises or that are dominating different decades and stuff like that. But nowadays, especially when you're talking about sports betting, it makes it boring. It doesn't there's no reason to risk your money. It's either you want to risk it and win little on the Warriors, or you don't risk it at all. And so I can see the NBA going down this year in sports betting unless, like they were saying, some kind of injury happens to the Warriors or something, and then that opens up, other teams in their odds and possibilities.
Luckily, there are plenty of options. Like you can bet props, you can bet games themselves, things like that. So, hurts the futures betting market, but there's still enough other stuff to wager on if you're interested.
We need about 25 key injuries to happen for my Kings to have a chance.
For the Kings to have a chance.
25 on the low end.
25 on the low end. Over under 40.
You go ahead and place a bet on them, Rick. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, I don't have money to burn. Not yet, anyways. My YouTube fame is still growing.
Well, Rick, how about you make yourself a little bit more famous and talk to me about the WWE controversy of the Crown Jewel event being held in Saudi Arabia?
Okay, this is the second event they are holding here in Saudi Arabia this year. The first event was the greatest Royal Rumble ever, and that was met with a lot of backlash. For starters, no women are allowed to wrestle on the show. And right there, some of their most popular and most talented superstars are the female performers, female wrestlers. And they're building up the entire women's roster to have an all-women pay-per-view a week prior to this crown jewel event. And yet, no matter how successful that is, none of the women could turn around and wrestle the next week in Saudi Arabia because they don't let women do really anything in life because they treat women over there like they're less than animals. With that said, the backlash over that has grown tremendously. But now you add the fact of the tragic murder that happened over there of an American journalist inside a consulate in Turkey, of Saudi Arabia's consulate, and the controversy over who's responsible for it, how's America's government going to respond, how's Trump going to respond. You add all into the mix. This is a powder keg. There's been reports saying U.S. senators are calling for WWE not to go over there. Businessmen, advertisers are calling for them. You have to keep in mind, WWE is a publicly traded company. They're not just a privately owned sports entertainment or pro wrestling company anymore. Stuff like this could end up hurting them, especially their stock markets and their audience, which in turn will hurt their advertising and revenue if people start protesting this because of them going over there. And I wrote about how the UFC is reconsidering their deal with Saudi Arabia in terms of that a fund over there's a group over there that wanted to invest $400 million into UFC's parent company. And now with everything that's going on with the controversy and the investigation into this journalist's murder, UFC's parent company is exploring options on pulling out of that deal. So if they can do that, if CEOs of major banks and businesses are pulling out of attending conferences and whatever other arrangements they had with entities in Saudi Arabia, then WWE can too. There was another report that said that WWE, a lot of the wrestlers, they weren't officially quoted off the record, were saying they are concerned about going over there. Like, they don't want to go over there. So there's a betting prop out whether or not WWE will pull out of this event. Another news article said the only way WWE will most likely pull out is if Donald Trump were the one to publicly or even privately tell them you can't go over there or shouldn't go over there. And the reason why we focus on the Trump angle is not only is he the president and he has, the stick to say this, he's also longtime buddies with Vince McMahon and business partners with Vince McMahon. And he's one of the only people that Vince McMahon actually listens to or respects. Typically, when Vince McMahon is told not to do something, he's going to do the exact opposite. But this is a situation that can really blow up in his face. This isn't just, you have like Michael Vick back to the NFL when he came back after all of that stuff. This is an actual murder, an actual country covering it up. This could lead to serious political ramifications, not just for America and Saudi Arabia, but I've read news articles and reports that this could change the entire dynamic in the Middle East. So this isn't something the WWE should mess around with. I find it absolutely disgusting that they're even still considering going over there. Like, it makes me sick to my stomach to see that.
Do you think?
Yeah, I don't think they'll actually do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think they're probably going to cancel it then?
This is Vince McMahon we're talking about. He's fought against the government numerous times. He goes against the grain whenever he wants. He's a self-made billionaire. And he entered a 10-year deal with the Saudi Sports Authority. I can't remember the name off the top of my head over there. And this is only the second event, the first year of that 10-year deal. And they're supposed to be making a lot of money off this. So Vince is more about the money than he is about doing the right thing. And so, honestly, until I hear Trump or the State Department come out and say WWE should not go, Vince is going to go. And it's disgusting. In the article, I said there's betting value in the yes, but the smart bet was on the no. No, they're not going to pull out. But that plus 350 for yes on them pulling out, that's good value right there, because there is a realistic chance that they suspend this event based on what's going on over there. But the investigation still has another day or two to go on. I just read how they're giving the Saudi government more time for the investigation, which in my opinion means they're just giving them more time to come up with a more plausible excuse. Like, seriously, this is a disgusting event, and for the WWE to continue to want to hold a show over there, it's ridiculous. It's absurd.
All right, guys. That's all I got for our What's Happening section. So guess that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys for your insight. We're just going to jump right into our next segment. All right, guys, welcome to the spread and butter portion of Odds On Favorites. If you've been a fan of the show or you've been watching previous episodes, you know what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple different games, NFL, college ball. Actually, now that the NBA season's starting up, we're going to throw some NBA games in here. We're going to talk about specifically the point spreads and our picks and the value that we can find in some of the point spread bets. So we're just going to dive right in here. We're going to start with some NFL games. Rick, I'm going to look to you first. We have a Patriots-Bears game. Excuse me. Patriots are favored. And the Bears are the home team. Talk to me about this spread.
You know, you can check the tape. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, how, when after the Patriots lost to the Lions, people were kind of looking at them and down on them and writing them off. And since then, they're just winning handedly. And then the Chiefs come to town, who are supposed to be the best team in the NFL or the second best team, and the Patriots win in a shootout, which, if you check the tape, we predicted that Patriots would win but not cover the spread. Patriots are going to go into Chicago. They're going to win by more than a field goal. Chicago showed us who they really were last week when they lost to Miami in overtime. I think the Bears have a lot of talent, but I just don't think they have the experience to handle a team like Patriots and Tom Brady that are now fully healthy on offense. Give me the Patriots to win by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, I think the Patriots should cover. Anytime you go and lose to a team that's rostering Brock Osweiler at quarterback, I'm not going to pick you the next week. So New England feels good about themselves right now. That was a big win. They can take it on the road. And Chicago will lose, and they will not cover.
Brock almost threw for 400 yards. It was insane on that supposedly great, vaunted Bears defense. Wow.
Ridiculous.
All right, guys. How about this game? Our favorite team to talk about, obviously, is the Bills. We have the Bills at going to the Colts. The Bills are underdogs at a 7.5 point spread. Taylor, I know you love them Bills. Talk to me about them.
So I was actually impressed. The Bills defense looked good last week. Texans offense is bad, but the Bills defense did play well. Derek Anderson starting this game for the Bills, not Peterman. Josh Allen's out, sprained elbow, I believe. 7.5 points for the Colts is a ton. Or was it 7.5? Yeah.
7.5.
I know they're at home, but I'm not impressed with what Indy's doing. They're having to throw the ball a ton, which is weird since Andrew Luck's missed like 2 years with shoulder stuff. But I just don't trust the Colts. I don't think they have many playmakers on offense. T.Y. Hilton, I think, is questionable. So especially if he's out, then I'm all about the Bills this week. I think they can cover that. Anderson's an upgrade over Peterman, I have to believe. I mean, who can not be an upgrade over Peterman? So
anything.
I'll
Buffalo, start me. I'll be better than Peterman.
I'll get in your guys' good graces here, and I'll take the Bills to cover. I don't know if they'll win, but they'll cover.
Wait, say that again?
I don't know if they'll win, but they'll cover.
You know what? Even Bob Ross is a better quarterback than Peterman. And the fact that Alexander is going to start for the Bills, that has, like Taylor said, that has to be an upgrade over Peterman. At the very least, he will manage the game better, and he will take less chances with turnovers. And if that's the case, they will run the ball more. And that defense, which is now one of the top 10, if not top 5 defenses, at least right now, maybe not all season, they're going to shut down the Colts offense. Tre'Davious White is a shutdown corner in his second year. He basically took Hopkins out of the game last week. He's taken every number one receiver out of the game pretty much each and every week. And that defense gets pressure on the quarterback. The Colts don't have a good offensive line. Colts don't have a good running game. If T.Y. Hilton's out, they're not even going to have a good receiver to throw the ball to. Their number one passing target right now is their tight end, Eric Ebron. You have to go. Not only do I believe the Bills will cover, as long as Alexander doesn't play like Peterman, the Bills are going to win the game outright.
Bold.
Uh-huh. I'm with you, Rick. My heart is with you. Oh man. All right, guys. How about the Saints are headed to Baltimore. The Saints are favored, the favored away team at a 2.5-point spread. What do you think, Rick?
This is actually probably my favorite game of the week right now, at least matchup-wise, because you got an explosive offense with balance now that Ingram's back. Ingram and Kamara provide a very impressive running game. And then, the passing attack with Drew Brees going up against the Ravens and that great defense that they have, which is top 5, top 2 in the league in a lot of categories. And it's in Baltimore, so it's going to be more of an advantage for the Ravens defense and the Ravens offense. Honestly, though, I'm not – I close my eyes and I can still see them losing to Cleveland a couple weeks ago. Although they just went and pummeled the Tennessee Titans on Sunday, I still see them losing to Cleveland. I can't see them able to hang in a shootout. The only way they have a chance of winning is forcing turnovers. However, I think Drew Brees is playing at an MVP level this year, and I'm going with the Saints to cover the spread and to win the game by close to a touchdown.
This one's really tough. This might be the best game of the week. We saw the Ravens sack Mariota 11 times last week, which was insane. Yeah, you kind of do have that stink, though. Browns a couple weeks ago, that's just kind of lingering, like the Bears with the Osweiler thing. That's kind of in the back of my mind. New Orleans has rebounded big time since that Week 1 disaster. 4 wins in a row. They had the long week off, didn't they? They had the week off, didn't they? Yeah. Or did they play? Did they play last week? I don't think they did. Yeah, they had the week off, right?
No, they had a bye week last week.
Okay, so they had the extra long rest week. It is weird seeing them go on the road as favorites. That gives me a little bit of pause, especially since the Ravens are playing decently. But I guess I'll buy the Saints. I think they could be a Super Bowl team if they can get past the Rams. I won't be surprised if the Ravens win this game, but I'll go with New Orleans. It's kind of a toss-up to me.
Mm-hmm. Guys, how about the Bengals and Chiefs game? Bengals are underdogs. The Chiefs are at home. We got a 6-point spread. What do you think about that one, Taylor?
I think the Chiefs are for real. I think we saw that in New England. They go in there, tough environment, primetime game, kind of fell behind early and then fought back big time. Going back home, I think they'll be kind of hungry after the first loss. Cincinnati showed some signs of weakness last week against the Steelers. I think Kansas City covers. This could be a rout. I like the Bengals a little bit this season, but Kansas City, I think, is the real deal. So I think they'll cover it.
Oh, every season, Arrowhead Stadium is one of the toughest places for any team to go in there and play, let alone go in there and win. And what the Chiefs did versus the Patriots was extremely impressive in terms of Mahomes consistently leading them right back down the field. Every time the Patriots score, he'd lead them right back down for a score. The Bengals choked. They had a chance to beat the Steelers last week, and the Steelers are not playing at a great level. Now they're going to go up against the team on the road who's playing at a great level. You have to believe Bengals have the offensive firepower to score points, and they have a better defense, so they might have a chance at least for the first couple quarters to hang in there. But the Chiefs just have too much firepower, and it's at home, that crowd, the environment. I believe the Chiefs are going to win by at least a touchdown.
All right, guys. How about we switch gears a little bit here and move on to a college ball game? I like the Michigan at Michigan State game at a 7-point spread. Michigan is the favorites in that 7-point spread. I don't know, Taylor. What do you think about that one?
I've thought Michigan State has looked like the most overrated team in the country all year. I don't know how they were ranked for so long. They struggled with Utah State week 1. Lost to Arizona State the next week. They've since lost to Northwestern. They're ranked because they went on the road last week into Penn State and won. I'm sure Rick remembers very well. Michigan is impressive, though. They stomped Wisconsin last week. That was a statement game. This game being in East Lansing is the only thing giving me a little bit of pause, but just on the overall body of work, I think Michigan should be able to win this game, and I think they should be able to win it handily. So I'll take the Wolverines to cover.
You know, Michigan State is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde this season. Like you were talking about, one week they're looking good, the next weekend they look terrible. This last weekend they looked good on the road against a team that came out flat because they have the worst coach in college football. Yes, I'm talking about you, Franklin. #fire Franklin. So Michigan State will be at home versus the Wolverines. Michigan Wolverines have turned it around. You know, they blew out Wisconsin last week. They have been playing good football the last month or so. They only lost one game. It was the first week of the season at Notre Dame, who, by the way, is still undefeated and running towards a college football playoff spot. I like what Michigan Wolverines are doing. I think Harbaugh's answered the calls of him being on the hot seat and possibly having to leave his alma mater. I'm going with the Wolverines to win this by at least a touchdown, covering the spread.
Awesome. All right, guys, I think we've got room for one more. With the NBA season starting up, let's hit up one of the NBA games. We have what day is that on? Missed that game. Thursday, tomorrow. We have the Lakers heading to Portland for both teams' first game of the season. The Lakers are heading in as 1-point underdogs. Seeing LeBron James on an underdog team. How about it? What do you guys think? Rick,
it would be easy to say, oh, let's take LeBron James, because it's LeBron. But he's on a new team with new teammates. They didn't look fantastic in the preseason. And now they're going to Portland, who's played together for a while, who has a good, talented team. And on top of that, they just lost their owner, Paul Allen, who's owned the team since 1988. So I feel like that place is going to be very emotional. Want to dedicate that game and the win to Mr. Allen. And I'm going with Portland this one. I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to lead it from start to finish.
My first instinct was to take the Lakers as dogs just because it's LeBron in his first game and everything, but that's basically a whole new team. They got LeBron, they added Rondo, they added Lance Stevenson, they added JaVale McGee, they added Michael Beasley. And teams that add that many new players tend to kind of be slow out of the gates. It's going to take them some time to acclimate to playing with each other. It's on the road, like you said, emotional for Portland with their owner having passed away. Portland has a lot more continuity. I think I like what they did adding Seth Curry and Nick Stauskas, a couple of shooters to the bench. People are kind of sleeping on Portland. They won this division last year. They were the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. I think they're out to prove the doubters wrong. I think the Lakers will take time to gel. So I think 1 point is way too low. And I think Portland could easily win this game by like 15-20, and it wouldn't be a surprise.
All right. Well, those are all the games I have that I wanted to cover, guys. So thank you. That concludes our spread and butter section. We're just going to roll right on into our next one. All right, guys. Time for the Gimme Prop section of Odds On Favorites. We're going to go through some articles that Rick and Taylor have written on gamblingsites.org, covering various different prop bets that you guys can bet on. We're just going to dig in here a little bit and give you a little bit more insight into them. Rick, you did a prop bet article on who will play the next Batman or who will play Batman in the next Cape Crusader film. I'm going to let you take it away here for me. Let us know where who you're giving your props to for your pick. Just to go over for the people watching, a couple of the names that are thrown out there is we have Kit Harington at plus 165, John Hamm at plus 200, Ryan Gosling plus 350, Joseph Gordon-Levitt plus 400. Goes all the way down. You got people like Matthew Good at plus 2,500, Will Smith at plus 10,000. I mean, we got some names out there. You can play the field at plus 650. So got a lot of different options here. Rick, what do you think, man?
Unlike, if you check the tape, unlike the list for Superman and Batman or Superman and Green Lantern, it seems like there was twice as many people being linked to playing Batman, whether it's through rumors or just sports books coming up with names that they think could be possibilities. Looking over that list, a lot of them I'm just like, these guys don't scream superhero. These guys aren't, Dark Justice, the Dark Knight. Like half these guys don't even look like they're 6 feet tall, like 5'5" maybe. They're like $150 at best. That's not Batman. That's more like Robin. That's not. They even have Levitt on there who played Robin.
I was gonna say the one that kills me is they have Levitt on here.
It's crazy, the list that they have, and some of the actors have already taken themselves out of the running for Batman, like Kit Jon Snow, basically from Game of Thrones for you guys out there. Which, by the way, we'll do some Game of Thrones talk later when that series comes on and stuff. Taylor and I will. Not Cody, but Taylor and I. Anyhow, Jon Snow's already removed himself from the picture because he's busy with other stuff. So there is a long list. You got like Will Smith on there. Will Smith was terrible as Deadshot in Suicide Squad, and that movie was terrible. Like, there's no way you can take him from a DC movie and move him into the most iconic DC character of all time, the greatest comic character of all time, Batman. If you were going to make Batman African-American, then we got to go back to the guy that I've been saying every week in and week out when we're talking about this stuff, Idris Elba. Elba would be an amazing Bruce Wayne and an amazing Batman. With that said, my picks for who I think should be playing Batman is this. First of all, the movie's probably not going to come out to 2020. It's not even going to start shooting until next year. What's funny is the whole reason that people think Ben Affleck is done as Batman, first of all, we can only hope that he's done as Batman. He is the worst Batman of all time. However, with that being said, there's been nothing official saying he is actually done as Batman. He's done 2 stints in rehab, so some people think that's going to remove him from the picture. We did the talk about how Henry Cavill was going to be gone with Superman, most likely, and so people are thinking, well, why not just reboot Batman, remove Affleck also, and start over again? First of all, how many times is DC going to start over? Okay, this is getting ridiculous. This is why they're like second-class citizens to Marvel right now. But with that being said, Ben Affleck at plus 500 is still a smart bet until he's officially ruled out. What's funny is the fact that he's the one that actually pushed for this project years ago. He's the one that actually originally wrote a script for this film years ago. And then Warner Brothers decided, let's remove him from as the director, and let's go with someone else who's going to write a whole new script instead. But they're going to keep the same name, The Batman, which is, really original there. So, and then, I list Tom Hopper as my long shot pick. I love Hopper in Black Sails. I think he's a fantastic actor. But realistically, in my opinion, if you can put money down on this prop bet, you have to go with the field. When you're looking over this list, if you're not going to take Ben Affleck, then you have to go with the field because these list of actors, 90% of them couldn't even don the cape. They couldn't even play Batman. A couple of them might pull off a good Bruce Wayne, but they could not do both. This list is actually kind of comical when you look at it, and I'm actually, as a true diehard Batman fan, I'm actually, now that I think about it, offended by this. Like, this list is offensive. So, either Affleck or the field. Those are your two. Those are the two to take.
You mean you don't want to see Ryan Gosling as Batman?
Oh my God! Didn't we already talk about Ryan Gosling and my whole Green Lantern? No, I didn't want to. But here's the thing, though: if one of the Brokebacks could be one of the greatest Jokers of all time, then the other Brokeback might be able to make Batman. But I can't stand him. I can't stand his face. I can't stand to look at him. And there's no way he's going to pull off a Batman. At least Ben Affleck has the height and bulk. Gosling doesn't have any of that. You're killing me. I'd rather have Will Smith.
I think John Hamm kind of has the whole Bruce Wayne vibe, but he doesn't really have the Batman side of it, Like, it's hard to see John Hamm kicking ass like, Batman should,
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like George Clooney. George Clooney you could see him being Bruce Wayne, but as Batman, it just didn't make any sense at all. He was a horrible Batman. He's right there with Ben Affleck, very low on the Batman totem pole. I don't hate John Hamm at 200, but I guess he already took himself plus 200, but he took himself out, so it's kind of moot. The field at plus 650 looks like the best option to me. There's a lot of profit potential in that number. In all likelihood, they're going to find some random schmo we never heard of to play Batman. Christian Bale should come back. That would be the greatest thing ever. But
that'd be best case scenario.
Bring him back.
Sadly, it seems pretty doubtful. So,
Rick, why don't you go play Batman?
I've thought about it. I'm talking to my agent. I'm trying to get him and get in touch with Warner Brothers and stuff. But right now, it's not working. Not looking too good.
You gotta just bite the bullet and just head down to Hollywood, march in there yourself, and demand an audition.
First of all, Hollywood's a dump. Most people don't realize that. Hollywood's a dump. Like I can't stand going there. Anyhow, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm going off on tangents. Bob, what would Bob Ross do? Okay.
Bob Ross do.
What would Bob do?
He'd paint a little bush.
He'd paint a little tree, happy little tree. I gotta find my inner peace. Today I'm trying to be all about peace.
Maybe we'll skip your rant today then.
I might have to skip the rant. I've been meditating. I've been watching a lot of Bob Ross shows lately, busting out my paint and stuff.
Oh, man. All right. Maybe something that won't get you as heated. Let's talk about Eli Manning. There's a prop bet out on whether or not he's going to play in 2019. Taylor, you did this article. There's a couple different bets out there. For 2019, nowhere he'll retire after this season at plus 150. Starting QB for the Giants plus 300. NFL TV commentator plus 300. Starting QB for another team plus 350. And then just goes all the way down until possibility of seeing him in the CFL at plus 5,000.
Yeah. I think he's going to retire. I think this season's going to wear on him quite a bit. They're pretty horrible, as we saw last Thursday. The Giants need to move on. I don't think he's going to make it through the whole season as the starter. They tried that last year when Bob McAdoo tried to bench him, and that didn't work out at all for Bob McAdoo. But new coach, Pat Shurmur's in there. The Giants have Saquon Barkley now. They locked up Odell Beckham. I think they know that it's time. Eli's 37. He's bad. His arm strength is gone. He's averaging like 7 yards a throw this season, which is horrible. So I think retiring at plus 150 makes the most sense. Just retiring and moving on into the abyss, like doing commercials like Peyton. I can't really imagine him being a TV commentator. He doesn't really have that vibe to me. He doesn't have the charisma that Peyton does or that Tony Romo does. So I can't really see him just jumping right into that job, maybe eventually. But I think the best bet is that he's just going to call it quits and live his own life. I don't think he'll be a coach or anything like that.
I can't see – well, first of all, that Giants offensive line is terrible. Like, they have to be the worst offensive line in the league or one of the worst offensive lines in the league. You have easily the most explosive young player to come into the league in years in Saquon Barkley. And then you have one of the most dynamic young receivers to come into the league in years and you still can't seem to win football games, nor can you actually be competitive in some games or put up the amount of points you should be putting up with all that talent on offense. However, with that said, they don't have any better options at quarterback behind Eli Manning right now, first of all. Second of all, if they're going to be out of contention, they might as well just roll with Manning for the rest of the year because there's nobody else that's going to be playing better. Their offense isn't going to improve if they have a backup quarterback in there. Now, with that said, there's no way the Giants can bring back Manning next year. Between this year and last year, the team has been awful. His play has gone downhill, whether it's from the line, the system, the coaches, or just him, or all of the above. They can't bring him back next year. They have to part ways with him. If I were the Giants, I would try and trade him or just release him outright. But here's the thing. I don't think he's done in the NFL. There are plenty of teams with young quarterbacks who need a mentor like Eli Manning to be a backup quarterback. Look what Buffalo's doing. They scraped the bottom of the barrel to get Derek Anderson, in there to back up and mentor Josh Allen and that other quarterback who we refuse to mention.
Peterman.
Yeah, that punk. And so Eli could be the perfect candidate to do that. You know, Kurt Warner was brought to the Giants to do that for Eli many years ago, and Kurt Warner ended up going to another team, you know, and tore it up and led him to the Super Bowl and stuff like that. I'm not saying Eli Manning and Kurt Warner are the same, but he is too valuable for a team not to take a shot on him next year. I think he'll be in the league next year, but with a different team.
All right. Let's shift gears from football to basketball. We'll talk about Kyrie Irving. Taylor, you did an article on where he might play next season. There's a couple different odds out here. We have the Celtics at plus 200, the Field at plus 250, Nets plus 400, Knicks plus 400, all the way down. I see the Cavs at plus 2,000. What do we got here, man? Talk to me about this prop.
So Kyrie's a free agent next summer. He's already said that he wants to re-sign with the Celtics. He told a bunch of fans that at some fan appreciation night right before the season started. The Celtics traded for him last summer. I imagine they didn't do that just to let him go in like a year. So barring some kind of injury or some kind of fraying in their relationship, I imagine he'll come back next season and just stay with the Celtics. And you can get that at plus 200, which is pretty good for an incumbent team like that. If he were to leave, I think the Knicks make some sense at plus 400. There's already been some kind of rumor out there that the Knicks are going to make him their number one target. The Field at plus 250 is fine. It's viable because you got teams like the Lakers and the Clippers that aren't even listed here. But Boston just makes the most sense. I think he'll stay there. So plus 200 is pretty good.
I agree with you, Taylor. First of all, why would he leave Boston? He has a chance of at least getting to the NBA Finals now in the next couple years, each year, if he stays with Boston. I don't see him going to the Lakers because he doesn't get along with LeBron. He's not going back to Cleveland because that was a disaster when he left. Going to the Knicks, he would only go there for money, but then he'd be playing on a team that's not any good, and they wouldn't even make the playoffs. And you can go down the list with a lot of these teams. His best option is either Boston or Toronto, but the Celtics have way too much talent. He could easily be the piece that helps that team compete with the Warriors each and every year for NBA titles. Why would you leave that? Why would you go play somewhere else when you got a chance to win championships or at least compete for championships? You go to some of these other teams, you don't even have a chance to make the playoffs. So plus 200 actually is pretty good value there. I would have said that should have been closer to even, especially since he said he was going to return to Boston, and most people think he will return. So plus 200, that's actually pretty great. Go with that one.
I agree.
Very cool. Guys, those are all the prop bets that I had. You guys, obviously, for all those watching, we have tons of other articles out that you can read on our GamblingSites.org blog for more insights and some different bets that you guys can make that Rick and Taylor write. Yeah, that's going to do it for our props. Let's just dive right into our next section, guys. All right, guys, it's that time. Let's talk about risky bets this week. People watching want to know what games to look out for, what risks there are this week. Rick, man, let me know what your risky bets are.
All right, here we go. Risky bet for this week is Cal Golden Bears heading up to Corvallis, Oregon to take on the Oregon State Beavers. Now, listen, the Oregon State Beavers have been a terrible college football team for many years now. They're actually probably the worst team in the conference. However, with that said, Cal has lost 14, count them, 14 straight conference road games. In fact, the last time they won one was years ago, and I believe it was against Oregon State. Anyhow, with that said, the spread is right around a touchdown. Last I looked was 6.5 points. Some sports betting sites had it 7 points. I think it's a risk to bet on Cal to cover that spread, first of all. Second of all, Cal's numbers against the spreads have been pretty terrible this year and over the last 2 years, now that I think about it. I do think Cal's going to win the game, though. It's a risk to take them to cover the spread. However, I believe if you take their money line of minus 260 you'll be able to win your bet on this game. Oregon State has only won 2 out of the last 23 games as an underdog, and they've only won 6 out of 24 of their last 30 games. They're 6-24 in their last 30 overall games, and they've only won like 3 or 4 conference games in the last couple years. Like, they have been a terrible team. They give up over 570 total yards a game. Okay, we could run for 100 yards for Cal this weekend. All 3 of us. I'll be the starter, of course. Each one of us can get out there and run for 100 yards against that Oregon State defense. It's a risk to take Cal covering the spread, but I think it's pretty good bet to take them to win outright.
Taylor, what about you, man? What risks you got for us this week?
I've been riding the Rams pretty consistently since we've been doing this show. They're still undefeated. They're 6-0. They had a nice win in Denver last week. The 23-20 final score, the game wasn't that close. Denver didn't really seriously threaten to win the game. They're on the road this week. The Rams are going to Santa Clara to take on the Niners. 10-point spread for the Rams. It's risky. It's risky taking a double-digit favorite to cover. But, you know, we saw the Niners play well on Monday Night Football. Narrow loss in Green Bay. But the week before that, they lost at home to the Cardinals. We can't forget that. They're 1-5 so far. I'm impressed with C.J. Beathard. I think he actually might have something. He's better than I imagined he would be. But the Rams are the best team in the league. Not having Cooper Kupp hurts, but they have enough talent to overcome that. It's risky, but until the Rams just start letting us down, I feel like we can kind of consistently just keep betting on them. So I think the Rams covering 10 points is realistic here. So give me that.
All right.
I like it.
Guys, it's going to do it for our risky bets. We're going to jump right into our easy money segment. Stay tuned. All right, guys, we just talked about some risks in our risky bet segment. Now we're here to give you the easy money for the week. Taylor, I'm going to run it right to you. Let me know where the easy money is this week.
I touched on it earlier. I think the Chiefs coming back home after a narrow loss in New England to face the Bengals. I think the Chiefs 6.5-point favorites. I think that's a coverable spread. They have an elite offense. Tyreek Hill looks like the most unguardable player in the NFL, and I don't see how Cincinnati can really keep him in check. Bengals had a tough loss on the road in Pittsburgh last week. I think they're not going to recover from that fully. Another game I was looking at is Atlanta hosting New York, the Giants on Monday Night Football. The Giants are horrible. We saw that on Thursday. So if you want a kind of a side easy money bet, I would take the Falcons to cover. But my chief pick will be the Chiefs. That was not intentional, by the way.
All right, here we go. My pick is, and it hurts me, it pains me to say this because I'm not a fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes. However, when I first saw this spread, this line a couple days ago, I was absolutely shocked. They're playing against Purdue Boilermakers, okay? Purdue is at best a 500 team in the conference, they're 3-3 on the year, but at the end of the year, they will be at best 500. Ohio State is right now the number 2 ranked team in the country, and they're only favored by 13.5 points this week. 13.5 points. We're used, outside of the Penn State game, we're used to seeing Ohio State favored by 4 touchdowns or more each and every week. Purdue is not a good team. They're not a good team at all. They've lost to really poor teams. They've not played anybody good outside of Northwestern, and that was in week 1. Otherwise, the last 5 games have been against teams that are just terrible, in my opinion. Ohio State's only favored by 13.5. They're going to Purdue. I think it's going to be easy money to cover the spread. The reason I believe the spread is so low is because Purdue has beat Ohio State 4 times since 2000, and that's more than pretty much any other team in the conference. With that said, these 2 teams haven't played since 2013, which Ohio State blew them out. 2012, Ohio State beat them as well. Those are the first 2 years under Urban Meyer. So they're playing again this year, 2018, 5 years later. Urban Meyer's there. The talent's there. Haskins is a Heisman Trophy candidate. I don't see any chance of him not tearing it up this week. Last week, Ohio State had their lackluster performance of the season where they only beat Minnesota 30-14. They got that out of the way. They have a bye week after this game. After the bye week, they have Nebraska, who's the worst team in the conference. They're not looking ahead. There's nothing to look past. They're going to go in there and blow out Purdue by 20-plus points. Easy money.
Easy money.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here. Those are easy money picks for you. We're going to jump into our last segment here, the Show Me the Money Line segment. Yeah, let's get right to it. All right, you guys, last segment of Odds On Favorites that we got here. One of my favorites to do, Show Me the Money Lines. We're just going to go through the entire NFL game list set here. I got the odds up from Bet Online, and myself, Rick, and Taylor, we're just going to go through. We're just going to give you our straight-up money line picks. So we're just going to dive right in here. Again, we are recording this on Wednesday, so this will probably get up by sometime in Thursday, hopefully before the Thursday night game, but we're going to go ahead and pick it anyways. Guys, we're starting with the Thursday night football game, Denver Broncos at Arizona Cardinals. Money line is the Cardinals are plus 110 underdogs, Broncos minus 130 favorites.
Yeah, this game's this is terrible. Like, this is a bad Thursday night. This is worse than the Browns-Jets matchup in week 2, was it? This is terrible. The Broncos are a flop this year. The Cardinals are the second worst team in the league behind the Buccaneers, in my opinion. And I just don't see anything exciting about this game. Case Keenum's been a flop, right up there with Sam Bradford, a flop. And so, but, oh, man, I want to say Arizona's going to win it. I want to give it to them because they played tough versus Minnesota. But you have to go with Denver here. Denver hung in there with the Rams last week for a little bit and played tough football at home. But they went and lost to the Jets on the road, so they easily can lose. I don't even want to pick this game now that I think about it. But I'm going with the Broncos. Yeah, I'm going with Denver.
I'm going to take Arizona here. They played well the last couple of weeks. They beat San Francisco on the road. Like you said, they played the Vikings tougher than I expected last week. Josh Rosen's been pretty up and down, but so is Denver. Like you said, Case Keenum's been bad. Short week going on the road. It's really gross, and I didn't think I would pick the Cardinals in a single game all year, but I'm going to do it.
Wow.
Oof. All right. I was a bit of a daredevil last week. It cost me a couple losses, so I don't know what I want to go with here. There isn't really a safe pick to go with.
Picking either of them makes you a daredevil.
Yeah.
Maybe we can pick the tie.
They're risky bets either way.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, man. I don't know. It's like I got to close my eyes and just pick one kind of thing. I don't know. Give me the Cardinals on this one. Let's see it.
When in doubt, just pick the home team, I guess.
Yeah, how about it? Oh, man. All right, guys. Enough of that crap show. How about the Titans going into the Los Angeles Chargers? We got the Titans at plus 235 underdogs and the Chargers at minus 280. Sorry. Actually, this isn't Chargers are at home. This is a London game. I'm sorry.
Okay.
For Sunday. Yep. So, sorry. Yeah. Titans. Sorry. Did I say this? Titans plus 235, Chargers minus 280.
This is one of those games that the Chargers could lose. Every year, I would say for like the last decade, there's a couple games during the season where you're thinking the Chargers are making their run towards the top of the conference. They're looking good. They put win after win in a row. And then they have a clunker. This could be the clunker because, the Titans are terrible right now, and they're playing terrible football right now. But the Chargers always have that one letdown every season. With that said, give me the Chargers.
Yeah, this game starts at 6:30 in the morning Pacific time, and it features a California team, which is not brilliant scheduling, but Chargers don't have any fans anyway, I guess. I'll take the Chargers.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm going to take the Chargers on this one. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Well, not for you guys having to watch at 6:30 in the morning.
I'm sleeping through that thing.
I'll wake up in the second half.
Starts at 9:30 for me, so I'm all right.
It's not even a good game worth watching.
Yeah.
No.
It's not the Bills game. Come on.
It's not Broncos Cardinals.
Guys, we got the Patriots and the Bears. Bears are at home. The Patriots are coming in as the away favorites, minus 160. The Bears plus 140 dogs.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. This is the Patriots. I think they're going to come in there and win pretty handily.
This is a tricky game. I wouldn't really want to touch the spread, I don't think, but money line, I'll take New England.
Yeah, I mean, just stick with my saying. I'm not going to bet against Tom Brady here, so I'm not going to start now. Not against the Bears, anyways. So we'll go.
Oh, we got a worse game coming up. I think this game makes the Thursday night game look like the Super Bowl.
What's that?
Browns, Buccaneers.
Woo, this is the game I picked at the beginning of the season, saying the one game that the Browns could win because Tampa was the worst team in the league. I've been waiting for this toilet bowl right here.
The Buccaneers are minus 160 favorites and the Browns plus 140 dogs.
You know, wow. Oh, man. Taylor's Browns versus the team I picked to be the worst team in the league. I swore earlier this season I would never pick the Browns again to win a game, and I thought they would win this game at the beginning of the season. And then we got the Bucs, who are just horrible. Although they hung in there, they came back. This is terrible. This terrible, Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor, I'm going. Man.
I mean, you can't pick the Bucs. You've been saying the Bucs are the worst team in the league all year.
I know. And I said I was never going to pick the Browns again. So basically what I need here is this. I need the Cardinals to win a couple more games, the Niners to win a couple more games, because I'm picking Tampa to win this week. I just think their offense is too much for Cleveland to handle.
Wow. Rick just picked the worst team in the NFL to win.
It hurts. It hurts.
I mean, the Browns have been the worst team in the NFL for 5 years, so I guess someone has taken their title. I don't know either. Cleveland looked terrible last week against the Chargers. The Buccaneers looked okay, at least on offense.
Fantasy-wise.
Yeah. They're at home. Cleveland rookie QB going on the road. Yeah, I guess I'll take Tampa Bay. I don't know. This game is horrible.
It's almost as bad as the Broncos Cardinals game. I don't want to pick anything, dude.
I would rather watch Broncos Cardinals.
I don't know. Give me the Bucs. I'm not taking the Browns. I can't take Taylor's Browns here.
I'm not even taking my Browns.
Nobody can take the Browns. Give us all the Bucs. Oh, goodness gracious.
This is going to blow up in our faces, but at least we'll go down together.
Uh-huh. Guys, how about the Panthers-Eagles game? Eagles are at home, minus 240 favorites, and Panthers coming in at plus 200 dogs.
You know, the Panthers really came out of a bye week and looked pretty bad against Washington this last weekend. And now they're going on the road to Philly. Is that what you said? In Philly?
Yep, in Philly.
And Philly looked pretty good against the Giants, even though it was the Giants. They had extra time in between to rest up for this game. I like what Philly's starting to do. They're starting to play better. Wentz is starting to look better. And I don't understand how Carolina lost to Washington. Something's not right over there. I'm going to take Philly at home. I think this is where they start making their run towards pulling away in the NFC East.
Yeah, last week was the first week we saw the Eagles actually look like the Eagles. Like you said, long week off since playing last Thursday. Carolina looked bad, losing to the Redskins. That's never a good look. They're going to coast to this division title, and I think this should be – I don't know if it'll be an easy win because Carolina, I think, is better than they looked last week, but Philly at home, I think they're looking legit, so I'll take the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't necessarily – I kind of want to pick Carolina. But it's hard to bet against the Eagles at home, especially after, like you said, Carolina's loss. You know, I do think that they're better than they look, though, Taylor. Like you said, I'm going to take the Panthers this week. That'll be my risk I take for the week. I won't try not to take
your risky bet
as I did last week, but I'm going to take the Panthers. And then, oh yeah, got the Bills and the Colts. Let's go. What do we got? The Bills are heading to Indianapolis. Bills are dogs at plus 275. Colts favored at minus 330, which I think that's just ridiculous. We have a 7.5 point spread on this game. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Yes, Buffalo has struggled at the QB position, but that defense is really becoming an elite defense. Over the last month, they have been tearing it up, causing turnovers and sacks against some pretty great offenses as well, or at least talented offenses. Now, the Colts don't have as much talent on offense as what we just saw with Houston and then a couple weeks ago with Minnesota and stuff. I'm going with Buffalo to win this game because of the defense, because of the running game. The Colts are not a good team. They have Andrew Luck, and that's pretty much it. And he can't play 22 positions on the field simultaneously.
This is another game that's right there with Bucks, Browns, and Broncos,
Don't you compare my
Cardinals.
Bills, Bucks and Browns game. Don't you do it.
I don't want to pick either of them. I took the Bills to cover earlier because that spread's way too big because Indy's 1-5. They're not very good. Is this the first game where the Bills enter with the best record of the two teams?
Probably.
It's in Indy. I'll take the Colts. I wouldn't take them to cover the spread, but I'll take them. I don't know. This game's a toss-up to me. I can't believe the money line's minus 350. That just doesn't make sense, but I'll take it.
330.
330.
30, but still, yeah. I'm taking my Bills here on this one. I have to. I mean, the Colts are a worse team than we are. I don't know. I got to take the Bills. I know I've been high up on the Bills, taking them on a couple picks that I probably shouldn't have, but we can win this one. We can do this one. I'm taking my Bills. They're going to win outright, cover the spread, everything. Let's go. Buffalo, just don't start Peterman. It's your key to win. Right there. Okay. Vikings and Jets. Jets are the home team. Vikings are the away team favorites at minus 175. Jets plus 155.
You know, the Jets have been playing all these last couple weeks, and they are surprising people. And it's hard to say that, first of all. Second of all, Minnesota has been inconsistent over the last month, starting with the loss at home versus Buffalo. With that said, I think Minnesota is starting to turn the corner a little bit. They're starting to play a little bit better on offense. Problem is their running game is hit or miss with Cook either being out or being on a snap count. And Murray doesn't inspire confidence in me. That 3 points, initially I was like, oh, that's nothing. But when you think about it more with the way the two teams are playing and the way this game might be shaping up to be, that could be too much for Minnesota to cover. However, with that said, the Vikings are a better team on paper. They have more talent on both sides of the ball. If that defense can get after Sam Darnold, it's going to be a long game for the Jets. And I think Minnesota has enough firepower on offense to nullify the Jets' aggressive defense. I'm going with Minnesota to win this game and probably to push the spread, but because I think they'll win by a field goal.
Yeah, the Jets, this is their third home game in a row. It's by far the toughest opponent, though. They beat Denver and they beat Indy. We've just been talking about how bad those teams are. I think they get a reality check this week, and Minnesota beats them.
Yeah. 10-2. Yeah, I'm gonna say give me the Vikings on this one. Give me the Vikings. Oh, Houston at Jacksonville. Taylor's Blake Bortles.
Against my Texans.
Blake Bortles.
Yeah, you know what?
What's that?
No, go ahead. Say the money lines first before I go off on a rant.
Blake Bortles is the favorite, minus 225. Taylor's Texans, plus 195 dogs.
Last weekend, the best player on the field for the Texans was Peterman. Buffalo should have won that game. They played phenomenal defense. They made Watson's life miserable all day long. Houston didn't even run the ball well. Hopkins was shut down. Fuller did nothing. Cootie did nothing. Like, nobody did anything except for Peterman throwing a touchdown pass. He threw a better touchdown pass than Deshaun Watson did. Okay? Houston was just shut down. If they were playing anybody else other than Jacksonville, I would probably pick the other team to win. But Jacksonville has lost 2 straight in embarrassing fashion to the Chiefs, and then they go into Dallas and get blown out. Are you kidding me, Jacksonville? Seriously? Now Taylor's Blake Bortles returns home as if he's just going to be able to turn it around with Houston, who's coming to town, and they play Jacksonville tough. It's a divisional game. With that said, Peterman isn't playing, and Bortles is slightly better. I'm going with Jacksonville to win.
I think the Jaguars are going to win, but I'm going to pick the Texans because I think I've done it every week, and I'm going to keep the streak alive. And it's not like the Jags are unbeatable. You know, you go into Dallas and get crushed like that. Probably the most shocking thing I've seen all year, except for the Bills beating the Vikings. So,
yeah, buddy.
I'll go with the Texans against my better judgment.
Yeah, I'm not going to go with the Texans. I'm going.
You guys are just bitter from last week, holding it against them.
I'm going to go with the Jags. I agree with everything Rick was saying.
Gift wrapped that game.
Yeah, gift wrapped that game for him. Peterman was just a fancy little bow. Makes me sick.
Peterman was the best Texans quarterback that Sunday.
Makes me sick thinking about it. So we're going in, facing Jacksonville. I don't see the Texans walking away with the W there, but, I guess we'll see. But I don't – yeah, whatever. I'm going to Jacksonville. I said it. Whatever. Okay, we got the Saints and the Ravens. We talked about this game a little bit. The Saints are the dogs plus 119, and the Ravens the favorites at 139, and this game is in Baltimore.
Yeah, you know what? I am going with the Saints here. As I said earlier, I think they have a lot of balance on offense. Ingram coming back provides that power running up the middle. Kamara complements him. Drew Brees is playing at MVP level this year, and their defense is hit or miss, but they're going up against the Ravens and Joe Flacco. And despite Flacco having a better year than he did last year, I still don't see him as being a great quarterback. I don't see – the only way Baltimore can win this game is if they sack Drew Brees 11 times like they did to Mariota last week, and I don't see that happening. Brees is too good of a quarterback. I'm taking New Orleans to win this game, even though it's going to be a tough game, and in my opinion, quite possibly the best game of the weekend. The Saints.
Yeah, this is another tough one to pick, but it's actually tough because both teams are good, unlike some of the other games this week. But this is easily the best team the Ravens are going to run into here. The defense has been great, but, they beat the Titans. They beat the Browns, or they lost to the Browns, speaks for itself. They beat the Bills. They beat the Broncos. I'm not ready to fully buy in on Baltimore yet. New Orleans on the road is always kind of scary because they're way better at home, but I'll take the Saints on the road.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I like the Ravens defense. I think they're solid. But I think Drew Brees and Kamara, I think they're a good threat to run through. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to take the Saints, but as a side pick, I'm also going to take the under on this one. I think the under set at 49.5. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But give me the Saints as the away team and give me the under at 49.5 for this one.
Bonus pick.
What's up?
A bonus pick.
Bonus pick on that one, just for you guys. Cowboys, Redskins. Washington's at home, minus 125. Cowboys, plus 105 dogs.
I hate Dallas. I say this every week. I hate Dallas. However, they just embarrassed Jacksonville. Like, it wasn't even close. I thought I saw, I had to wipe my eyes and change the channel and change it back, thinking I saw the wrong score. Dallas looked impressive the looked terrible, but now Dallas is going on the road against a divisional foe who looked good at home against a tough Carolina team. You know, I think AP could have a good game this week, and he'll be the difference. He could be the difference maker. AP versus Zeke, Washington versus Dallas. I'm going to go with Washington at home over the Cowboys.
Are the Redskins the most inconsistent team in the league? Because they beat the Cardinals, then they lost to the Colts at home. The Colts' lone win of the season still. Then they beat the Packers pretty handily, lost to the Saints, and they come back and beat Carolina out of nowhere. I don't think anyone really saw those coming. This is another tough game. I'm going to take the Redskins at home as well, but I don't know what to make of Dallas either. So I guess this is kind of just two random, you never know what you're getting on a weekly basis kind of teams.
I feel like this is a trap game.
It definitely is. It's a trap game, you know, regardless of who you pick.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I'll just take the home team.
When in doubt, take the home team. I don't know. I'm not sold on Dallas either. I'm not a big fan. I don't know. The Redskins have come away with some pretty big wins. They've also had some pretty terrible losses, though. But I don't know. Against my better judgment, I guess I'm going to go with the Redskins at home here. We talked about the Rams and 49ers game. The Rams are the away team, but pretty heavy favorites at -475, and the 49ers are +400.
You know, even though the 49ers played a great football game, should have beat the Packers, the Rams are a better team this year than they were last year when they won that shootout versus the Niners on Thursday night football. I'm going with the Rams to win this one. You know, you said it's a risky bet in terms of covering that large double-digit spread, but I still think they'll win the game pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with Green Bay. They have maybe the greatest quarterback of all time, and that's kind of carried them through some of these games, like the Chicago game and the Niner game. So I don't know what to make of that effort from the Niners. I think they're going to lose. I picked the Rams against the spread earlier, so definitely taking the money line.
Yeah, I'll take the Rams on the money line also. I have faith that they could probably cover that spread myself, but so I'm definitely going to have me take them on the money line then. All right, last one before the primetime game. We got the Bengals and the Chiefs, which we talked about a little bit here. The Chiefs at home at -260, and the Bengals coming in at +220 underdogs.
Got to go with the Chiefs at home at Arrowhead, where they win 90% of their games every year. That crowd, that stadium is going to be rocking. The Chiefs looked amazing on offense. They just came up a little short. They didn't have the last possession of the game, basically. The Patriots did and won the game. The Bengals aren't the Patriots, and I don't see the Red Rocket Andy Dalton going into Arrowhead and winning this game. So give me the Chiefs.
Chiefs are a lock.
I almost want
Don't
to
do it.
He's thinking otherwise.
Don't do it.
I almost want to take the Bengals. I think after that loss from the Steelers, I think they'd be pretty fired up to go in here and try to show what they're made of.
It's not a bad idea, but
I can't do it though. I can't do it. I can't take the Bengals. You got to take the Chiefs at home.
You have to.
Yeah, I got to go with the Chiefs. Okay. Well, oh yeah, and I got my riskier pick out of the way earlier, taking Panthers. So yeah, that's fine. All right, guys, last game, Monday Night Primetime. We got the Giants and Falcons, and I think this is pretty much going to be a general consensus here. But just for fun, the New York Giants are heading to Atlanta at +210 dogs, and the Falcons -250 favorites.
What is the spread on that game?
6-point spread, so just a touchdown.
Wow. Okay. Listen, Atlanta doesn't look like a great team. And if they were playing anybody else, I might take the other opponent. They're playing the Giants, who look dysfunctional, who look just playing uninspired football other than Saquon Barkley, who, by the way, should be in, a slam dunk for the offensive rookie of the year. And if he was on a winning team, would be a candidate for NFL MVP. And I'm going to be saying that every week, so just get used to that. There's a part of me that wants to take the Giants here because the Falcons' defense is terrible. They got one of the worst defenses in the league, and now they just put Devontae Freeman on IR. which means Coleman and Ito Smith are going to have to try and run the ball. The Giants' defense have been playing decent football. Beckham versus Julio Jones. Because I think Julio's the best receiver in the league, I'm going with the Falcons. But I think it's going to be closer than what some people are predicting. I think the Giants are going to play tough.
This is a really tricky game because, like you said, Atlanta's defense is bad. They have a ton of injury problems. They also have a scheme that allows opposing running backs just to rack up all sorts of catches against them. Alvin Kamara had 15 catches against them. Christian McCaffrey had 14 in the game, and now they're taking on Saquon, who's been used as like the most dynamic two-way back in the whole league so far. He's going to have a monster game, I would imagine. This should be a shootout, assuming, Saquon can do his thing. I don't trust Eli necessarily, but they're playing indoors. The Falcons' offense has been good, at least. I'm not as confident in this as I was when I was doing easy money that the Falcons are going to cover, but they should still win. But the Giants are kind of sneaky. I don't hate it against the spread, at least.
I took the Giants last week, and they disappointed me poorly. So screw them. I'm not taking them. I'm taking the Falcons at home. Give me the Falcons.
Probably wise.
I could see Barkley causing some problems here, making this a really close game, but I just don't see him heading to Atlanta and taking them out.
Fair enough.
That's it, guys. I mean, BetOnline has odds posted for the November 19th game between the Chiefs and the Rams, which would be a fun one, but we'll touch that one later. So that's it. That's all the money line games for this week. We got a couple buys this week, but covered all the games we could. Well, guys, that does it for this week's episode of Odds on Favorites. Thank you again so much for watching, and you can catch us here same time next week.